Welcome back, everyone. Episode number 7 of Club Deportes TV in Ingles. I'm your host, The Smash, Justin Simmons. Don't forget, since you're already watching us on YouTube, go ahead, hit the like and the subscribe. You know, it helps with the algorithms. And make sure that you follow us on Twitter at Club Deportes, as we already getting off to a rousing start here in this show. Let me go ahead and tell you what's on tap for us here today. First off, let me thank who was on last week with me, George Chavez, as he did a really good job breaking down Austin FC and what to expect for the upcoming week. This week, we're going to go back and we're going to break down the Austin FC matchup against the LA Galaxy. And then we're going to move on to the preview of how things are going to shape up for them against Nashville on this coming Sunday. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about Premier League Hall of Fames. I think there's some interesting characters in the Hall. We're going to get our new guest opinion and kind of want to understand what your guys' opinions out there would be as well. After that, after all the soccer talk, then we got to get into it because it was so exciting last night. I know. Is going to be talking about the NBA. My man Zay is going to be joining me in the last half hour. We're going to go through all of it from last night and kind of get you prepped for the upcoming playoffs in the NBA. So as we begin, let me go ahead and bring on our guest today. It is none other than our Club Deportes correspondent, Sebastian Herrera. And Sebastian, hey, there you are. Thanks again for joining us here today.
Hola, Justin. Hello, Justin. It's my pleasure to be here. I want to say hi to you, to all our fans of Club Deportes. I'm very glad to be here.
Oh, I mean, obviously, they're very happy to have you, everybody here in the studio as well, and everybody watching on YouTube. You know, I kind of went over it before I began everything, but the Austin FC fans haven't had a whole lot to celebrate here recently, except for the fact that Austin FC finally released those new green goalkeeper kits, and everybody has a new Adidas Prime Blue kit in the league. So you can see everybody spent all their money on that brand new Verde kit, some of those goalkeeper kits, people just buying them up in droves. I know they're going to be on sale, or at least what's ever left, at the official watch party on Sunday. But considering what the final score was against the LA Galaxy, maybe they should spend some of that money that they just made and find themselves a guy that can score some goals, because it was a difficult day at the office for Austin FC. Let's take a look at some of those highlights if we have a chance. But Sebastian, as you can see here, Chicharito going down. Yeah. And this is probably the highlight of the day for us Austin FC fans. That's going to be coming up, as you'll see the Stuver save coming up. I know that video on social media circulating with all the fans, very exciting. But Stuver, I think one of those players you would agree who has been playing very well for Austin FC since he's made his appearances, since he's had a chance to start.
Yeah, of course, Stuber was great. I mean, the penalty of Chicharito was really good. But Justin, I mean, I'm sure you will agree with me. The defense looked very, very fragile. I mean, the Chicharito goal, he contacted the ball between Romagna and Bisler. I mean, that's crazy. You know, the defense has to be solid, has to be a good defense, because we are not going places playing like that. I mean, it was very shameful the way the defense play against Galaxy.
So you are not holding back whatsoever. You're just letting Coach Wolf and Austin FC and the players just have it here today. I understand. The defense, was it a little shaky? Yeah, because they're going against one of the best teams in the league, LA Galaxy, and we'll see the goals here in just a bit, because they did give up one before the Chicharito goal. And you can say right here, you see he was trying to make a clearance attempt. I have no excuse for that. I don't know why he took that chance. He probably would have been better off if he just fouled the player, but, you know, professional foul. But you mentioned Chicharito, and see, even our mascot was already excited because he even knew. The magistry of Chicharito continues because, like you just said, and let's see if we can get this highlight, he does his work yet again. Again, a guy who isn't known for much, but once he's inside that 18, inside the 6, he is unstoppable, especially at the MLS level. And like you said, he went, I still feel that Romagna is probably our best defender. And he went right through the big guy like it was no big deal. I wasn't even expecting that, but yeah, it's true. It happens. But, I mean, this team looks so shaky on defense, but they couldn't get anything going offensively. And that left them having to play on the back heel, if you will, wouldn't you say?
No, sorry, continue.
No, I'm asking you. Wouldn't you say that because they lacked the offensive capability to, and of course Chicky Whiskey seems to be agreeing with me on this one, but because they had lacked the offensive capability to create in the final third, that they were forced to play defensively. And then when it broke, it broke.
It was crazy. I mean, we play against Galaxy. We know we wouldn't count with Alex Ring, our captain. I don't know why Josh Wolf don't play with a 4-4-2 to contain the Galaxy. You know, he plays with a 4-3-3, the usual formation, but attacking formation. You know, and facing a team like Galaxy, that's like our own dead. You know, so the defense wasn't right. The midfield was attacking. Players with characteristic attacking skills. So I mean, it's an easy result. And in the speaking about the forwards, I mean, why Hosen, Justin? Maybe you can tell me that. Why Hosen?
Who else?
I don't get it, man. Why not Gallagher? I mean, Kekuta Mane was jumped into the field and was the best man in the field. You know.
All right, so
we can understand why Hosen.
We got a lot to dissect right there. Okay, let's take it piece by piece, like a narahan, like an orange, right? Like, just like piece by piece. We'll go by the peel and then we'll go by piece. All right, first off, you're right. Mane, when he came in, there was a bit of a spark. He hit the post a couple of times. I really felt that Austin FC was going to be able to pull one back with Mane in the game. He seemed to have brought that creative spark that they needed up front, and they were able to sustain a portion of the attack for at least a solid 10 minutes. So they looked dangerous to a certain extent, right? But yes, I understand what you're saying. Hosen makes a lot of money. But he had a great preseason. I think he led them in goals during the preseason. But he really doesn't seem to have found his place within the team here during the regular season. I know that Coach Josh Wolf had mentioned during the week and during his media appearances that they are not supposed to be a crossing team, but they became a crossing team. They had like 26 crosses in that game against LAFC, and that's not what we're supposed to be getting from them offensively. But unfortunately, I can't tell you because unfortunately the pantry is a little bare when it comes to the depth of Austin FC in the forward line, because even the guys like Pochettino, even the guys like Redes, when they have had the opportunities, I think you can agree they haven't really produced. And Dominguez, while he had that 1-2 goal game, we haven't really seen much from him since.
Of course, I think we are not taking advantage of Cecilio Dominguez. I feel Cecilio plays better like a false 9 or a number 10, like a creative player, and he's playing like in the attacking zone as a forward. If he played like a little bit background, I think the team will improve a lot. Like back Hosen maybe, or Aaron Schoenfeld, or Mane or Gallagher. I think the position of Cecilio is like a false 9, you know, just more like a creator, like a striker. I think if we put Cecilio in his right position, the team will improve a lot.
I will say, I think you're asking a lot, especially from the MLS when it comes to those type of tactics, because just most of them don't value the technique over the athleticism of the high pressure attack. That's just how this league is built. It's built on athleticism. And right now, the guy that is supposed to have the first touch, that European creativity, that able to find those young, quick wingers, whether it's Gallagher, whether it's Redes, he hasn't been able to do it. And it seems like we just sold all that merch here recently, like they sold out the keeper kit and stuff. You figure that there will be some money allocated towards a new creative attacking a player. Now, the big question is that player going to be somebody younger, or is it going to be somebody a little bit older? And the reason I bring that up, let's go to the graphic, but the player of the week this week, let's take this one real fast. You can just see before we jump into that. This is how LAFC performed, or rather the Galaxy performed against Austin FC. The former USMNT player legit got the first goal, and then Chicharito getting the second goal. The passing was good. The possession you see here, I think you'll agree, it was a lot of empty possession for this team. So they were knocking the ball around, but it just never really went anywhere. Unable to really generate any offsides because they weren't really going on the attack, and their shots on goal, only 2 to the 4 that were on goal for LA Galaxy. So obviously a very strong performance. But the reason I mentioned how come we haven't what type of player it's going to be, whether it's going to be a young player or an older player that we're going to spend this money on, is because the MLS Player of the Week this week was Gonzalo Higuain. And I feel this is important because they really sold us during the offseason that, hey, they're going to go young. They brought these two guys that played in Paraguay, and they felt that they're really going to make the transition to become part of the starting 11 and really help Austin FC get on the right foot. And while, you know, it's an expansion year, it's the first year, I knew that there was going to be ups and downs. I don't think anybody was really expecting the losses the way that they have looked almost helplessly on offense in some cases.
Yeah, of course. I think we need a veteran player. Speaking about your question, a younger player or an old player, I think we need an old player with a lot of attitude, with a lot of curriculum, you know. So we have to focus on our DP and bring a forward who can make goals. I mean, someone that has already made his career in Europe, in another league, like Chicharito. He played in Manchester Madrid and came to the MLS to make goals, and he's doing it. So we need a player like that, and I don't know. I think we need a veteran player, a player who is a guarantee for the FC.
But Sebastian, does that player come from Mexico, a former L3 player that can be a creative threat? Or is it somebody, did they go chasing after somebody like Harvey Martin, who's one of the top goal scorers from this year, a little bit younger, like 28, right? But he's getting a little up there in age. He seems to fit the cost, and I think his contract's up next season, so it doesn't seem like too far-fetched of an idea, but I'm not sure if he's going to gel with what Coach Wolf is trying to do. It's trying to make everything fit, but right now it just doesn't seem like anything's really working. It's just because he just threw all the subs in and was just hoping for something to change, and it did change for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that would be great. Speaking about the Mexican player, maybe Oribe Peralta, you know, right now he's not having his best season in Mexico, but he plays very well. He has his good time in the national team. So I think he's a veteran player who can make good things. Also, well, if we have the money, if we open a GoFundMe here in Club Deportes so we can pay for Kun Agüero, I don't know, maybe.
I would love to have Kun Agüero here.
Yeah,
that's my guy.
Awesome, but I really think we need a veteran player, not a young player, because as you said, we already have players like Ronald a lot, Fast, Gallagher, Kekuta, Rodney Redes. We want to have a player with experience. That's for me the key for the forward in the Austin FC.
But like, how old is too old? Because you see a player like Janak, who has been fantastic at Tigres, but he's up there in age. I still think he has what it takes to compete at MLS, because I feel athletically in the style of play, Liga MX rather, and MLS are rather similar in how they play, where it's really fast pace, usually not too much defense, usually rather high scoring, but everybody's like one side of the pitch to the other side of the pitch and back and forth. I don't know if you want somebody that's going to be in their older 30s for this Austin team that doesn't seem to have everybody kind of built around to feed that type of guy, because they still need a person that can feed that guy. Because while Ring is rock solid in defense, I was looking at the stats last night, he's actually somewhere in the middle of the road. I think he has like 12 tackles this season, but that's because he didn't play one whole game, so he's still rather high up there. That defense with him seems pretty set, but still, that lack of creator up front has really been the big issue this year.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at how Nashville lines up with Austin FC. I know that this Nashville team, I think, is kind of flown under the radar, but if you look at the graphic, one of 3 unbeaten teams in MLS. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody had Nashville as going unbeaten within the first 5 games this year.
Yeah, with a lot of ties. That's one thing I like about the FC. Maybe we won or maybe we lose, but we didn't tie. I mean, we speak of that. I think Austin has the advantage to win the next Sunday.
Oh, you really think so? Look, you'll see here, right here, like you said, 1 win, no losses, 4 draws, but a lot of those draws have been holding the opposition scoreless, or they have been like 2-2 games. It seems whatever game that Nashville is able to won, they won 2-0. But as you see where Austin is right now, as you take a look at the Western Conference standings, you'll see that Austin is actually ranking behind where Nashville is in the Eastern Conference, and we're ranked at 10 right now at 2-3-0. I'm surprised that you feel so confident going against a club like Nashville SC, considering that you know that they're just going to dig in and claw it out. Even if it's going to be a 0-0 draw, they'll take it gladly, and they're playing at home.
You know, I'm so confident because for me, Alex Ring is the man, Justin. So with him, we can find this process to find the defense to the midfielders and to the forwards.
But to what forward, Sebastian? To what forward? We just talked the last 10 minutes about Hosen and Gallagher, but none of those guys have been consistent enough to be the real offensive linchpin to get this engine going forward to run and to score goals. Like, yeah, Ring is great. I'll say it 1,000 times. And you'll even notice when we go to that graphic about players of the week that, yes, I know that he has been one of the solid players for Austin FC. But the fact is he's not a creator. He's not the guy that is going to get us from the attacking half going forward to the attacking third. Who is going to be that guy? And more importantly, somebody needs to step up that they're paying, because it has to be either Hosen or it's got to be one of those new young guys that they touted so much about going on. And look, I know that there's people that say, oh, you know, you're being so hard on the team. You're criticizing the team. I thought you're supposed to care about the team. No, you can be for the team. You can support the team. But hey, when they're doing good, they're doing good. And when they're doing bad, they're doing bad. And you just call it how you see it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. They're not playing well. And the guys that were supposed to be stepping up, they just are in that low part of their flow, and we're hoping that they're going to hit that roller coaster high here pretty soon. But I'm surprised that you're so confident about how you feel that they're going to perform at Nashville, because it seems that Nashville, given their defensive capabilities, is just going to cause more problems for an already uncreative Austin FC.
I mean, Justin, I think we are reading one thing, and is that Hosen has to start in the bench. So just imagine this attack. Kekuta Mane in one side, Gallagher in another side, and we all see that Josh Wolf is so he wants to play with a nominal number 9. So if he gives an opportunity to Aaron Schoenfeld, he scores in the preseason. So maybe with these two wingers, Mane and Gallagher, who has been the best players offensively, Schoenfeld can do things and can get places and can maybe score the goals Hosen is missing around. So I think with these three guys, with Pochettino, Fagundes, and Ring, we can have the possession and the attacking opportunities, because Nashville, four ties, Justin, in MLS, that's crazy. We are speaking also with not a very good team, you know?
No, I agree. Look, I understand that means that they have a very similar issue to Austin, where they can't put the ball in the back of the net. But the facts of the matter are that Austin FC could have easily lost those games against Sporting KC, like 4-1, and they could have lost this game to LA Galaxy 4-1, 5-1, because they were very fortunate that Stuver made that save, and that there were some misses up front by the Galaxy and by Pulido, another guy that was supposed to be able to be pretty good. Now he's back on track, missed against them in that Sporting KC contest. So yeah, I think if you're just looking at the scoreline, maybe things aren't too bad. But if you're really taking all the game into the full context of how they have played, they've been really fortunate that it hasn't been worse than it is.
Yeah, that's why we have Super Stuver, Justin. That's why I will definitely buy his T-shirt. He has been the MVP in Austin,
easily.
And I think he will be doing a great. How can I say this word? Appearances? I don't know, Justin. Maybe you can help me with that.
Like
appearance.
Ambassador?
No.
Appearance.
Yeah, appearance.
Okay. Yeah. No. I think Stuver has been great to the community. Obviously, a lot of people love him. He's been playing amazing. He's been like one of the real shining cogs of this team because of his goalkeeping play. But when you're cheering on for a goalkeeper, that kind of tells you that you have some problems up front. And that's what it all goes back to. And speaking about problems, this was the first weekend that we had both of our teams here in the USL and the MLS playing this week. Let's take a look at how the Austin Bowl did, because I'm going to roll this graphic, but it was a 3-1 loss, and I can tell you firsthand that I was watching this game. I tuned in, it was 1-1, and then those 2 goals came in like in 10 minutes, and then I turned it off because I felt that I jinxed them. And apparently it didn't help. How many bowl games are you planning to try to attend this year?
Maybe 2 of them. Have you seen in Bold Stadium the beer is only $2? We have to go, Justin. We have to go, definitely.
Well, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely not going to miss out on $2 beer night. That's like one of my big things. I know it usually does attract a lot of fans, and their home opener is actually going to take place before. See, even our mascot is excited about $2 beer night. But the home opener is going to come up a little bit sooner. But, you know, we did get a chance to get some words from head coach Marcelo Serrano with the Bold about how his team performed. And I think it's a good summarization of just how everybody's kind of feeling after the way that Austin FC performed and the Bold performed. And let's take a listen here.
I think it was the first game. New Mexico came as the third game. We just need time to organize, put the team to click. So we just work more on organization. Working against the opponent as well. We're going to play Monarchs back-to-back games. That's what we're working this week. When we lose, it doesn't mean that everything is wrong. So you just bring the positive aspects and correct the negative aspects. But still, I always use the 4 or 5 games, first games in the season to put the team together. You know, so it's normal. We had opportunities over there against New Mexico. I think we lost under individual mistakes and some little group mistakes. So that's why we work this week on. I think
Well, he was basically saying that the way that this week shaped up, you know, you just have to kind of just go back to the drawing board and just let this one go and just kind of get ready for this coming week. And, you know, given the expectations that are on both teams this season, it just kind of seems that would be the best advice. It's just like, hey, I know we've already kind of just dug through them right now. We went through all the stuff that wasn't good this past week, but like you said, and maybe I do have to take a little bit more of your optimism here, Sebastian, but it is a new week, and, you know, if I know they're not scoring, but maybe Austin FC will get one past Nashville, who hasn't been able to put any in the back of the net either, right?
Yeah, hopefully, totally.
Oh, by the way, I'm not sure if you know this about myself, but I'm really into like soccer kits and fashion and all this stuff, and I love it when both of my things combine. But have you got a chance to see the new San Antonio FC kits?
No. The match in the Q2 Stadium?
No, I'm just saying that they have these brand new kits that celebrate their Fiesta colors, and I thought that these look awesome. Now, obviously, I'm not a San Antonio FC fan, but if I had some money, you know, just laying around, and I just wanted to buy a kit for the collection, I'd seriously consider adding that to the collection. What about you? I know everybody was buying those keeper kits earlier this week.
Yeah, it's an awesome kit, definitely. I wouldn't buy it because I like Austin FC, but without any doubt, it's one of the best shirts in the season.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was just like, I'm surprised that San Antonio in general just doesn't use that Fiesta color scheme enough for my liking, because I think it's just a terrific color scheme that's very unique, that just fits that city so well.
Yeah. You know, it's different because almost all the shirts in MLS, almost all the jerseys are so look alike. So it's so damn good that they are doing something different, you know?
Exactly. That's what makes the USL so different, is that they have like these ability to get their own contracts, so they can have different type of people to make their kits, and that way they look a little different from each other. And I'm with you. I know that we just saw those blue kits at the very beginning of the show, but it's like every team is going to get a blue kit that looks like that, or a darker shade of blue. And there was that season, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, where all the MLS teams had white away kits or second kits. Yeah. Everybody looked the same. I might be asking for a lot for Adidas to make all these unique looks, but they're trying to outfit a whole league that keeps on growing. But, you know, it's been around a little bit longer now. You figure that they could do give us a little bit more unique appearances, right?
Yeah, right. Totally.
Let me talk about, let me get your opinion on this. last week we were talking about how the crew saved the crew, but then wasn't able to save the crew. But this week, apparently they were able to do so because they sent out this logo, and you can see they made a couple of changes, although still not as good as the one that they're using currently, Columbus SC, or what they're known as Columbus Crew SC, kind of removing that little triangle at the bottom, putting the 96 back there. And what do you think about this whole situation? Are you surprised that a new ownership group came in and tried to rebrand them so quickly? And it really, how do you feel about how the fans reacted to it?
Yeah, for me, it's a shame, Justin. You know, you took this identity to the fans, to the club. I mean, why? Why are you doing this? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's a communication strategy or a mercadology strategy. I don't really know. But for me, it's a shame. I don't know why. I think the team should continue with his brand that is. I mean, the originals, you know, I don't know. I don't get these changes.
Yeah, it is one of the better looking teams in MLS. I know that they don't necessarily get along with all of us here in Austin, but you know, their current logo is really nice. I don't know why they decided to change it. I know that they had that agreement with the Nordeck. Their fans came out in big support about not being able to go forward with the change, and they were able to successfully not just save the crew, but also fight the change as well. There's one more thing I want to talk about soccer-wise with you. Now, how familiar are you with the Premier League, Sebastian?
Oh, pretty much. I'm a Manchester United fan, Justin.
Oh, get off. Not why, George. Where's my producer? Why'd you get this guy on the show? You know how I feel about Manchester United, people. Okay, I'm just playing, Sebastian. You guys are not even in the Champions League final. It's fine this year. It's fine. Let me ask you this, because I think this will be fun for you because you are a United fan, and we'll roll the graphic. The Premier League Hall of Fame has been announced. Alan Shearer, Thierry Henry were the first two inducted, but now the rest of the inductees to make up the full class have been announced. And as you can see, there's a lot of Manchester red there. And Eric Cantona, Roy Keane, David Beckham, and then you have the Arsenal man, Dennis Bergkamp, Frankie Lampard, and then Stevie G. I think you would agree a really strong class to get the first ever Premier League Hall of Fame started?
Yeah, of course. It's going to be a really hard decision, Justin. Really hard.
Like who's going to go in next?
How many can get to the next phase?
Well, this is the final, this is the actual class of 2021. So next year you'll have a brand new class of 2022 and we'll have a fresh 8. Now they had to have made like over 250 Premier League appearances, 200 if they were a really good player. But you think about some of the guys that aren't on that list, somebody maybe like a John Terry or an Ashley Cole or Didier Drogba.
Ryan Giggs. For me, Ryan Giggs has to be on that list, you know. Oh. He was the GOAT in Manchester United, man of Paul Scholes. I mean, he was the best. Manchester City, they don't have history, man. They don't deserve to be.
Hey, I like this team since Claudio Reyna was playing for Manchester City. So that was a long time ago. And it's funny how things come full circle where he's like the athletic director for the team that I love now here in Austin, right? But yeah, you're right. I'll give you that. City doesn't really have anybody at the front part of the Premier League that really deserves to be in the Hall of Fame right now. But, you know, you give it a few years and maybe you take somebody like Sergio Aguero, who will easily make the Hall of Fame, it seems, or somebody like Kevin De Bruyne. But you figure that Cristiano Ronaldo, he's going to be in anybody's Hall of Fame. But let me ask you this. If there was an MLS Hall of Fame, who would you put in the MLS Hall of Fame? If you had to pick 2 players to start off an MLS Hall of Fame, who would you select?
First of all, without doubts, I think Landon Donovan should be...
Landon Donovan. Okay, yeah, I'm writing this down. So you're saying Landon, and who else?
I don't know, man. I mean, a lot of players has played in the league, but one player who was construct a history in the league, I think maybe... it's a hard question, Justin. You had me thinking a lot. Maybe...
Okay, well, you have Landon.
No, Rafa Marquez. I think Rafa Marquez...
Marquez played for like 2 seconons in MLS.
But he sell a lot of T-shirts. I don't know. For me, he's one of the best players who has
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I want to hear about yours.
You want to hear about mine? Look, okay, like you said, while the MLS, sometimes gets looked down upon because of its early years, it's really grown for where it's come. It's been over 25 years since this league existed, right? So there are a lot of great players that have played, even for a cup of coffee here in MLS. But like you mentioned, you think of players like Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey, Brian McBride, Kobe Jones was really one of my favorite players. You think about some of those players that aren't from America, like Preki. Preki in the early years was amazing, and then he became a coach, right? You have somebody like Nicolas Lodeiro, who I felt that would be a strong choice maybe at some point in time. Maybe you can even go to somebody like Freddie Adu, because while he wasn't very successful, he was really important on getting more eyes in the league. But
do you think that Big Villa had made enough to be in the Hall of Fame in the MLS?
He made it to the national team. It's not like he was a bad player. And I mean, if you really go back to that day and age when he was making commercials with Pele, just go back to that time and point where he was the biggest deal in American soccer. He really does play an important part in the history of American soccer, does Freddie Adu. But since you asked who would be my first two, let me just show you the graphic, because I thought about this all day. My first two players would obviously be David Beckham and the GOAT, Alexi Lalas. Those would be my first two MLS theoretical Hall of Fame initial inductees. What do you think?
David Beckham, of course. Alexi Lalas, I think he's one of the characters of my Netflix Viking series. I don't know about him. But Beckham for sure, man.
Okay, so you agree on Beckham, but you disagree with me on Lalas. Let me tell you why I think Lalas deserves to be there. First off, he went to Italy, right? After the 94 World Cup, he gets signed to play in Serie A with Padova. He comes back to help shape the league with New England Revolution, right? And then he goes to Kansas City, then the Metro Stars, and then he retires. And then he comes back and plays with the LA Galaxy. And then what he does post-career with his fame, his celebrity, and what he's brought to the eyes to MLS and to America's soccer, not just as a player, but also as a commentator. While he's already in the National Soccer Hall of Fame, right? Because there is a National Soccer Hall of Fame, which is housed down, up I-35 in Frisco. There is not an MLS Hall of Fame. Yeah. And I think he really does deserve to be one of the first inductees in it, just because of what he did in MLS alone, let alone his entire career.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he came for the retire, so he's the MLS zombie. Am I right?
Yeah.
Not much players do that. I mean, Landon Donovan tries in Liga MX, and that doesn't went well. So it has the credit,
Yeah, well, I mean, if we had to fill in the rest of the class besides those two, obviously Donovan, Dempsey would probably easily be some choices. But there's some fringe players in there. I mean, do you take a Giovinco, who was amazing in Toronto?
Oh, yeah.
Do you take a Michael Bradley, who did win championships with Toronto? Do you take a Chris Wondolowski, who leads all-time MLS goal scorer, first ballot? It's a really interesting subject, and I hope that MLS does come up with a Hall of Fame at some point.
For sure it will be. I think it will be very soon.
So let me ask you before I let you go, what are you watching this week, Sebastian, soccer-wise? I know that a lot of the main tournaments, last week Premier League, last week of La Liga, but the title's already wrapped up. So besides MLS, what else are you watching?
The semifinals in Liga MX.
Okay.
It's getting crazy in here. So I will definitely watch the semifinals. The Sunday, of course, the game Austin FC against Nashville. And I don't know, I know the La Liga and Premier League is already with a champion, but I will definitely watch those games. I love football, so I will be there on the TV.
All right, man. You have anything else special planned? Maybe some food, maybe some drinks?
Yeah, of course, definitely, definitely, Justin. I will invite you and all Club Deportes friends when I get to.
Oh, you said it online, so it's true. Hey,
yeah.
I hope you have a good insurance, and I hope you have a good cleaner, because I'm a great house guest, but I can't speak for everybody, just in case.
Of course.
All right, Sebastian, thank you once again for joining us. He is our Club Deportes correspondent, Sebastian Herrera. Make sure you follow him on clubdeportes.com to see all his interviews coming up for the rest of the year.
Of course. Thank you, Justin. A pleasure, and greetings for all the studio.
Of course, man. I hope next time that we can get you in studio and then we can converse about Austin FC and everything else. I know I'm going to have to get you in here to talk about the Euros coming up.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Well, until then, thanks again, Sebastian.
Thanks, man.
All right, we'll see you later. Everybody, again, Sebastian Herrera. So we got through all of our soccer talk, and I hope you really enjoyed that MLS proverbial Hall of Fame. I'd like to know who you think should belong in the MLS Hall of Fame. Make sure you tweet at us at Club Deportes, or tell us in the comments below on YouTube who you think belongs in the first 2 inductees of your theoretical MLS Hall of Fame. But this is Club Deportes, and we talk more than just soccer here on Club Deportes. And with the way things went down in the association last night, you know we have to talk about more NBA play-in and NBA playoffs. And there's only one man that I know that's qualified to join me here, and that man, once again, is Zay Collier, joining me here on Club Deportes TV en Ingles. And the fans go crazy for Zay. Zay, thank you once again for joining me this week. Our first ever back-to-back guest here on Club Deportes. I wish I had a trophy for you, but I want to thank you again for joining us.
Yo, back-to-back? That's what I'm talking about, man. Thanks for having me back on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man. You knew I had to have you on after what had transpired in the last couple of nights in the association. We talked about the week previously. We got our thoughts on the NBA play-in. Have those thoughts kind of carried over to what we saw yesterday night and the night before?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were some games that were very, tough to watch. The Indiana-Charlotte game was kind of unwatchable.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why were the Hornets so bad in that game when everybody had them as a dark horse playoff pick?
Man, when you have a team that young and your best player is a rookie and you have your, new, franchise player come in, get hurt, and Gordon Hayward, they didn't really have much when you were looking down the bench, at their lineup. They have a lot of young guys that just have never been there before. And you could really tell the other night when they played against guys like Malcolm Brogdon and Sabonis, these are real guys who have, been in the league for a very long time. And when you're going up against grown men like that, they understand that level that you have to play at during playoff time. And the Hornets, they aren't there yet.
Man, Sabonis stuck in Indiana, so he doesn't get enough love for his transcendent offensive game. Just like his old man, he kind of took that template and is taking it to a next level. So I'm really interested to see how the Pacers and the Wizards are going to play, which is actually right after this show airs. You'll get to see that live on your, local affiliate, no matter where you may be watching that around the world. But let me ask you real quick, Zay. I know it's still Charlotte, but Gordon Hayward, I know he had the bad injury before, but he makes a lot of money, and I know it was a sprained ankle, but LeBron plays on a sprained ankle. Wouldn't you want to see Gordon Hayward out there, especially with the playoffs on the line?
Man, you compared his body to LeBron?
Well, they're not the same guy, but I'm just saying. Sprained ankle.
I hear you.
He can't afford the hyperbolic chamber like LeBron. He's making enough money.
Oh, trust me, I know. And that's one thing that's very, very disappointing, because when you pay somebody like that, you expect them to be there. But, that's the risk when you paying these guys this big-time money and all these max contracts and whatnot. I know a lot of the old-school guys can't stand it because they paid the way for guys to be making this much money. But, I think it's fine. If you have the money and you have a good enough agent to get you that type of dough, then go get it, young fella.
Let's talk a little bit about the game from yesterday night. Not the Lakers and not the Warriors, but a game that a lot of people here in Texas were watching, but the Spurs and the Grizzlies. Because, it wasn't the best of games of Spurs. They played really hard at the end, but you see there the final score, 100-96. But who would have thought that Jonas Valanciunas, the big man who everybody thought was going to be washed up, goes for 23 and 23. John Morant didn't necessarily have the best game, but Jonas Valanciunas, my gosh. Did you have this happening, or did you think that the Spurs were going to advance?
I wanted the Spurs to advance.
Oh, why?
Because I like Greg Popovich. He's a great coach. I'm a coach's son, so I'm going to appreciate great coaching when I see it.
He also has good hair.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, that nice dude for sure. Um, the Spurs, they don't have any superstars anymore. Like the big three's gone. Manu, Tony, Timmy, all those guys are gone. And now they're in the rebuilding stage, and even with DeRozan, who's been a perennial all-star, when you got guys like Johnson and Murray and, Lonnie Walker, all those guys are under 25 years old. So, just like the Hornets that I just talked about, they've never tasted playoff basketball before, even though they wear that spur on their jersey, the team that probably has some of the most playoff experience as an organization, more than anybody in the league in the last 25 years. So, again, when you have guys that young playing up against, veteran players like Ryan Tunis, when he was with the Raptors, he was playing in a lot of meaningful games. And, all those players that I just named on the Spurs, they all play majority of the minutes. LaMarcus Aldridge got traded, and Jakob Poeltl's good and all, but those guys were very, very small down low. And Giannis Valanciunas, as you saw with the stats that y'all pulled up, 23 and 23, he took advantage of that. And you should, give the Grizzlies credit for utilizing, their just opportunities by knowing that they have a good big man that could dominate the Spurs guards.
Well, it wasn't the prettiest of performances, right? But the grit and grind still shined through for Memphis as they were able to get the win against the Spurs. But like you said, they're not my favorite team, because I'm a really big, hardcore Dallas Mavericks fan, baby. And I go way back, like the old school stuff, 50th anniversary stuff, baby. So, like, it warms my heart to see them eliminated from the playoffs. But they do have a young team that looks like they can contend. But like you said, LaMarcus Aldridge being traded midway through the year because he wasn't happy there anymore, and that really affected any chance that they had for making any waves during this play-in tournament.
Smash. Let me get back to the jacket. That jacket is Jason Kidd, straight out of Oakland, straight out of Cal Berkeley with the fresh Dallas fit. Justin Smash Simmons, man, that's an amazing jacket. Bravo, my brother. Bravo.
Oh, thank you. Actually, my credit goes to my brother, Brandon. He's the one who bought it because he knows my taste. He knows my taste, but yeah.
That's bravo,
but
man.
See, that's how come I have you on, because you know this game, you know this association, because yes, J Kidd was one of my favorite players growing up back in 1995 when he was throwing it up for the Mavs the first time around, not the second time around, but the second time brought us to championship. So it all came around, right? That's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Life.
One more game that I really wanted to talk about with you. So I was kind of on the fence about this play-in tournament until that final game last night, because this is the highlight that everybody has seen, I think, nonstop this week. And we have it for you here as well. Roll the clip, producer, please. I'm just going to let him do it.
James, two defenders on him. To Caldwell Pope inside. He's tied up by Green.
I don't want to say anything else, but watch
James
this.
Puts up the three.
I mean, come on, man. This guy's going to be 37 years old. He has no business hitting shots like this. And they say LeBron ain't clutch.
Yeah, I don't understand that. And it's, it's funny because it's always been a league of eras. Like you said, you grew up watching a young J Kidd, and so many people grew up watching Jordan. Watching Mike, from taking off from the free throw line to winning all those championships and stuff. And if you grew up with that and you enjoyed The Last Dance more than anything, you still go back and watched it about 1,000 times, then you hated that shot last night. Because the way it looked, obviously, you had to shoot it. So I get people saying luck because the shot clock was winding down. But at the end of the day, the man has made some of the most clutch shots in NBA history. And I want to say he has 97 in the last 25 years, only 4, left to chase Kobe Bryant, who arguably is the second clutchest player to play the game after the great one, Michael Jordan. So, it's funny how people, like to make up those sayings about LeBron, because I know the hatred's real. I get it. Everybody hates the person that's on the top. It always makes sense. But come on, let's sit back because, like you said, Justin, the man's 37. We don't have many of these, great moments watching them left. sit back and enjoy the rest of the show because he's one of the greatest to ever touch the ball. And he showed that last night. And again, he didn't play that well, by the way. Like I was, he probably played like a C performance. And then you look at the stat sheet, he had like 22, 12, and 12. Like, that's just ridiculous.
He's a different beast, man. We've never seen anything like this in the league. And maybe something else comes by that's going to be better because I still feel that he's better than Jordan. But the way that he performed, you have to remember it was like, his first game back off of injuries, that nagging injury, that ankle that he's been trying to work through. He hasn't really been in sync. But to be able to find that extra gear, especially at this age, where I never felt that he was going to be able to do it because Father Time's undefeated. Eventually, you're going to reach back and it's not going to be there anymore. That wasn't the case last night. How did you feel about the performance from Steph Curry yesterday evening?
Man, he makes me so mad. Not because I'm a hater. I love watching him. But I remember being a little kid and how much I put in work on my jump shot. And your jump shot's like your golf swing if you want to be really good at it. You got to be real detail-oriented and focus on certain things. And then when I watch Steph Curry, it seems like all that just goes out the window, Smash. It seems like all the logic that I have for shooting and everything he does really just contradicts that. And it's not like he's doing the wrong things. Everything he does is right. It's just it doesn't make sense how quick his release is, how quick he can take the ball from off the bounce and get it into his jumper. That's an absolute art form that people don't understand. Like, he has the quickest release. He might be the most accurate shooter of all time, but he has the quickest release from when the ball leaves his fingertips ever. And that gives him the biggest advantage in my eyes because it makes shots that are impossible for 99% of the league. And for him, it's possible. And that's what I mean when I'm mad because, again, I'm a coach's son.
It's not supposed to be that easy.
Him like 15 years ago, there would have been a Steph Curry. He would have looked at you like you're crazy because that's just not how you play basketball. The man has literally changed the game, and you got to applaud him for it because he's absolutely amazing.
Hey, just admit it. We were kind of like that experimental age where there were like no threes. You only take that three if you're absolutely wide open, and then it went to like, okay, if you're pretty consistent, maybe you can take like 3 or 4 a game, but that's it. And now it's just become like, hey, we're down by 10. Just launch it, and I'm pretty sure you're going to come away with making 4 out of those 10. And it seems that coaches are happy to deal with that nowadays, but that's just how the game has changed up. Let me get your opinion on how this play-in. Have we not seen the end of it? Are we going to have an NBA play-in forever now because of that Warriors-Laker game from last night that everybody and their mom and their grandma and their uncle's uncle was watching?
Yeah, I think you are. I think you are because the NBA, I'm not going to say it's been watered down, but those regular season games aren't as important as they once were, Smash. And you got to add a little more into the excitement with the league. And this is a huge step forward, and you're not always going to get those Warriors, Lakers matchups. Like, that's really rare in a season, where we had a lot of our superstars hurt. So, I still think you're going to get meaningful basketball. I still think you're going to get some of those blowouts like you saw with the Hornets because at the end of the day, these are teams that aren't in the playoffs. Like, they're playing in. So they aren't going to be as good as the other teams, obviously. So if people understand that, then I think it will be fine. But, yeah, I think it was a great move. It's great for the fans. For the players, not so much. I think it's pretty brutal to play a full season to have it, come down to 2 games.
Yeah, short turnaround, having to play. Well, they played a shortened season. It was like, 72 games, and then they jumped into this play-in tournament, right? And the tournament has been a success. The Bubbles tournament was a success last year, and everybody's all about making money. And you can't tell me they are not because we have the little ad patches on the NBA jerseys. I love my basketball uniforms and my soccer kits, so I know about that. So obviously there's money to be made. I don't think we've seen the end of it. Were you pleased with the first 2 nights of the play-in tournament?
Yeah, I was.
Like,
I
was the
was
style
really
of
pleased.
play up to where you wanted? Did these games, were they even more exciting as a basketball fan than, let's say, if a similar situation was happening on the very last night of the regular season in the NBA, where somebody was playing for like a 9 to go to the 8 seed and vice versa?
Yeah, it was definitely beneficial because, there wasn't really much sports other than basketball going on this week that was really, that had much importance to it. Obviously, baseball's in their season, but they're still kind of at the beginning, middle stage of their season. So basketball, they were in the spotlight this week, which was really good for the brand. And, we didn't talk about the Celtics versus the Wizards as much, but Jason Tatum going for 50, was very impressive.
Let me say real quick, the one thing that does suck about this play-in tournament is that they don't know what to do with the stats. Like, they're not regular season stats, and they don't count towards the playoffs. They're kind of just like in proverbial purgatory, in limbo. So, like, that 50 piece that Tatum went off for, it doesn't really count towards anything. And I feel that's a shame. Don't you think it should just count towards the playoff career record? Because it's basically a playoff game? Because you're playing in to get into the playoffs? What do you think?
Yeah, that's very interesting territory. That is weird. It should be the playoffs. Like, we're in the postseason because it's postseason. Like, the name is there. I think as long as the stats go in the record books for, let's say, Jason Tatum's, point total for his career.
Exactly.
That's fine. Like, that's fine.
What about if he's 50 points short of getting into the top 10 and they don't count this 50 piece and ends up number 11 all time?
It's weird, but as long as you put it in with, their individual stats, then I'm cool with it.
Let's take a look at how the playoffs are shaping up right now, because that winner from last night, the Lakers, do qualify for the playoffs. They're probably one of the most popular number 2 seeds that you'll ever see. But let's leave this graphic up here for just a little bit so we can kind of look at it. You see the Jazz are the first team in the West. You have my matchup right there, Clippers versus Mavs. You have Nuggets versus Portland. And then the 2 and 7, the aforementioned Lakers, advancing against Golden State to take on Phoenix. And then on the East, you have the play-in game that's going to be happening a little bit later today between the Celtics, between the Wizards, who were able to go against the Pacers, and we'll see who's going to play the 76ers. Knicks very happy, obviously, to get back into the playoffs against the Hawks. The Bucks, can Giannis get it done going against the Heat? And then, of course, KD, Kyrie, James Harden going against the Celtics, and the aforementioned Jason Tatum's in the 50-piece. Which series are you wanting to see the most in each conference? If you can only pick one series, you only had one channel, and you had no social media, what series are you going to follow from each conference from game 1 through the final game, whether it takes 6 or 7?
I would check out that 3-6 matchup in the East with Milwaukee and Miami.
A rematch of last year?
Oh, man, that's going to be an absolute slobber knocker. And, a lot of people are picking Miami to advance because, with Giannis, the game changes for him in the playoffs. The game slows down. You don't get as many fast break points. You don't get as many easy buckets. So you really got to utilize your mid-range jumper and, your overall jumper to be exact. And we know that's kind of been a liability for Giannis, in recent years. So obviously he's gotten a lot better over the course of his career. The addition of Drew Holiday was huge because I think Drew Holiday is the best point guard defensively in the NBA, who could do a lot of things offensively, which allows Chris Middleton to be the third option. I think them getting PJ Tucker in the middle of the season is huge because now, even though Giannis is former defensive player of the year, you got a guy who could be a defensive stopper and who could go and guard the best player on the other team.
He does all the dirty work for you. He can hit the 3, he can grab rebounds, and he's going to take at least, the 2 through 4, even some cases the 5 if he has to, because we've seen him do it.
Yeah, the man's more than just shoes. The man's an absolute dog, and he's one of my favorite players just because he's came from the mud, man, from University of Texas to, remember he failed the class at UT and then came back even better the next year, got himself to the league, went overseas, came back, and now he's made a name for himself. So I would love to see him guard Jimmy Butler for majority of the series. I think that would be an excellent matchup because both of them are very feisty, and that's what playoff basketball is all about. Bam Adebayo is a really, really good basketball player.
Who do you want to win this series? Either the Bucks or the Heat, because you have a lot of love for both teams here.
I do. I appreciate both teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat won. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks won. I wouldn't be surprised if this went 7 games. I would like to see Milwaukee advance just because I'm tired of people, giving Giannis the he can't do it stigma. I want to see him get over the hump.
Yeah.
And I love Holiday also. I think Drew Holiday is a really great player who hasn't really played many meaningful basketball games throughout his career. Now he'll get that chance.
Yeah, this is his opportunity to shine. They have the very first game of that day on Saturday, so it's perfect for all the fans in Europe and in Greece to get a chance to look at the Greek Freak live during the NBA playoffs. But let's admit, it is a defining playoff run here for the Bucks. He needs to win. He can't lose in the first round. It would be atrocious with all the moves that they made in the offseason for them to lose here in the first round to a Miami Heat team that they could have lost to last year. Or actually, they did lose to last year. They can't have that happen again. How about in the West real quick? We're up against the clock here, but which series are you really looking forward to in the Western Conference?
Oh, you're going to love this, Smash. It has to be that 4-5 seed, Mavs versus Clippers, baby. And, Luka in his second playoff run. I got Luka on my first team All-NBA this year. The man is just absolutely talented. I remember when he was coming out in the draft, and I had him going number 1. I felt like it was easy because I was following Luka when he was playing in Slovenia in the FIBA World Cup, and he was dominating everybody. Exactly. It seemed like the easiest pick in the world. But you fast forward to now, and he's going to be going against some of the best defenders in the league once again, in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So, they remember the shot that Luka hit last year, and the Mavs remember being knocked out the bubble by the Clippers last year.
Oh, so, I do. I definitely do. And I want my revenge. That's a really good pick. I'll make sure I send you the Venmo here after the show because I wasn't expecting you to pick that. So thank you because, that is the series I'm watching for sure.
Yeah. And the Mavs, they have some revenge that they got to take care of because you remember Kristaps Porzingis was hurt last year in the bubble. He got hurt. So, I thought the Mavs kind of got not necessarily cheated because that's just how the game works, but you didn't really see them at full capacity. Now Kristaps is back in the lineup. I think the Mavs, they're still one of the best scoring teams in the league. Luka is still hard to stop. I don't care if you got Kawhi or Paul George. That's going to be a hell of a series.
Well, I hope that that Dallas is able to pull it off, but that one's probably going 7. But hey, maybe we'll get a redo of playoff P, pandemic P, going for 2 points out of 40-something minutes or something like that. That's what I can hope for. We'll see how Kawhi plays against the Mavs, but all those games are starting on Saturday, so I pretty much set aside my schedule that Saturday to watch nothing but NBA playoff basketball. Hey, Zay, before I let you go, remember we talked about a little pool party last week?
Did we?
Yeah, we talked about a little pool party. I know, I'm not sure if you got your invitation, but I got my invitation. I took a picture. You want to see it?
Yeah, I'm always about the party, man.
All right, well, take a look at this Kardashian-Jenner pool party here. I was wondering, can you tell me all those players that are at the pool party?
Oh my gosh. You want me to name them all?
Yeah, if you can. I want to see how big of an NBA fan you are. If you're a huge NBA fan, you should be able to name everybody in this photo.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the one that you probably didn't think I would get just to show you where I'm at. On that far left, that's Rashad McCants.
Oh, you got the McCants reference. Oh, you are a true baller, bro.
Yes, Rashad, I don't go to class in North Carolina.
Oh, Zay, are you still there? We lose you, Zay? Oh, no, Zay, where'd you go? Well, anyways, Zay, you still there? Maybe not, but Zay, you are right. That is Rashard McCants, and I'm pretty sure you know everybody else that is in that photo as well. But it looks like we are out of time, and I get it. I know because you people at home hear it too. So, Zay, we have to let you go. We're up against the clock, but that will do it for episode number 7 of Club Deportes TV en Inglés. Make sure you follow Zay on Twitter. You'll find it after the show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Club Deportes. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe here on YouTube, and subscribe to us on Facebook as well. So for everybody involved, make sure you enjoy the NBA playoffs. Good luck to Austin FC this week, and we will see you next weekend right here on Thursday night on Club Deportes TV.